Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Parent and Family Services webinar on on-campus living. During the next hour, we are going to be talking about various information related to living on campus and what that will look like for your student, including how the move-in process will go, as well as some dining information so that I know there's always questions related to how your student and where your student is going to be eating. And how that all works. So I've got some wonderful individuals that will be here to help share that information with us over the next hour. Just a few things to kind of explain how this process will work. First of all, my name is Meredith Collin. I'm the Director for Parent and Family Services, and I'm here to just help facilitate and moderate this session as we go through. Everyone should have your the go-to training bar up on the right-hand side. Just some quick information for there. We will be communicating via the chat function, which is on the lower bottom portion of the bar there. So if you click on that, you'll be able to type in any questions that you have. We will be taking questions towards the end of the presentation to allow our presenters to go through and share all their information, and then hopefully they can answer your questions in advance. But if not, we'll use that chat function to answer additional questions that may have arisen. Please make sure if you are typing any questions in there that one, it can be seen for the entire audience, but because it is being seen by everyone, please ensure that you're not providing us with any specific information that can be identifiable for your students, such as their Blazer ID, student ID number, full name, anything like that. We want to make sure that we are respecting all of our students and who has access to their particular information. If you, at any point in time, please feel free. We are going to be continuing to monitor those chats, and so if there is a purpose or a time where we need to interrupt our presenters, we'll make sure that they are able to quickly hear and see and answer those questions appropriately and quickly and timely for you all. But I do have Brian Johnson here, who is our Director of Residence Life, and he is going to be taking you through the on-campus living portion and what that means to live be a member of our residential community, and then we will have someone in, Rock George will be in joining us a little bit later on about the on-campus dining opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Brian to share with you about the information about living on campus.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Again, my name is Brian Johnson, and I am going to talk to you about living on campus. Here at UAB, I'll go through some a number of information about living on campus and what it's like to live as a resident here at the university. And so I will go ahead and get started. And so there's my picture and what I look like. I think many of you already saw me at orientation, but that's my office number, where my office is located, as well as my office phone number, if you ever have to reach out to me for anything. My email address is on our website at uab.edu/housing. There you'll find all of our housing staff's contact information, phone numbers, and email addresses. So through today's presentation, here's the outline. We'll talk about early arrival groups. We'll talk about a move-in day for non-early arrival students. I'll go through some information about safety and security. We will also talk about some residential life policies and procedures. I'll mention some information about mail and packages, roommates and room changes, how to get involved on campus, because that's equally important as the academic piece. I will also talk a little bit about dining, and then Rock will come in and speak about dining and meal plan information, and then I'll come back with some important updates on dates and information for your student as they arrive to campus. So first, we have a number of early arrivals, and so these are the dates. If your student is arriving early on campus, here are the dates they should be arriving. you should have already received that information from that particular group of individuals. So, for example, if your student is going to be participating in NPC Sorority Women Recruitment, and she's a freshman, she's slated to arrive on August 22nd, and she will get that information from the Office of Student Involvement and Leadership. And they will send that information out regarding her arrival time and arrival dates and things of that nature. So if you're an early arrival group, you won't get any information from our office about when to arrive. Again, that information will come from those different entities on campus. So be mindful of that. If you are not a part of those early arrival groups, then your arrival date is Saturday, August 26th. That is the large move-in day for our office. We will, by this time, you should have already received your residence hall assignment, your room number, and your assigned move-in time. As I mentioned in orientation, we move in by assigned move-in time, so please do your best to adhere to that. We move in earlier floors in the morning and lower floors in the afternoons. That way we're not bottlenecking up the elevator from going to the 8th floor to the 2nd floor, things of that nature. And so please adhere to your assigned move-in time. There will be a number of campus partners out here to assist. We have over 900 volunteers that will help your student move in into their residence hall on that Saturday. You should have already got information about ResNet services, which is our on-campus residence hall Wi-Fi system, which is different from the university Wi-Fi system. That information should have been in your move-in email with a number of all that move-in information. I want to mention something brief about renters insurance. Please look at your homeowners insurance and look and see in your policy to find out if it covers your student when they're not at home while they're on campus. If it doesn't, you should have gotten information within your move-in email from our housing team about renters insurance. And so you definitely want to have renters insurance. It will help if there's a disaster of some sort, if you will, a flood or fire, things of that nature. The actual policy or the information that you got in the email also talks a little bit about damaged computers and cell phones and things of that nature. And so if you don't already have renters insurance, again, that information should be found in your move-in email. I would definitely take a look at that. If you have not received any of this information or you have further questions about any of the things on the screen right now, feel free to send our office an email at studenthousing@uab.edu. We will definitely respond to you as quick as we can with your inquiry and questions, answers to your inquiry. So talk a little about safety and security. Safety and security is a big priority for us here at UAB. We're not like some other Alabama schools where you drive on campus and the pearly gates close behind you and you're kind of on campus, right? We are downtown Birmingham. We are the University of 8 Birmingham, and so safety and security is a large priority for us. In our office, our tagline for our safety measures is we have 3 to 4 measures of safety and security from the sidewalk to your pillow. And so I'll go through those really quick. Each of your students should have gotten the UAB One card. That One card serves a number of purposes here at UAB, but it also serves as your key to get to your residence halls. Our doors are locked 24 hours, 7 days a week, and so you need your One card in order to access your residence hall. Your One card will automatically be programmed for your residence hall and your residence hall only. So if you live in New Fresh, you can't go to Blazer without being signed in by a guest, or if you live in Camp, you can't come to New Fresh without being signed in by a guest. Again, your card will work for or be accessed or programmed for your building. If you live in Blazer, you will receive 2 keys. You'll receive a key from your off the hall to your suite door, and you'll also receive a key for your actual bedroom. So you'll receive 2 keys in New Fresh. You'll only receive 1 key for 2 keys in Blazer. You'll only receive 1 key for New Freshman Residence Hall and Camp Hall, because from the door off the hallway, you're actually accessing your living space. Your apartment or your living space if you're in New Fresh. Our front desks are staffed 24 hours, 7 days a week. And so when you enter the front desk on the front lobby areas, you will present your ID card to the front desk personnel, and they're looking for a colored sticker. When you arrive to campus, you get a colored sticker that designates which hall you live in. If you live in New Fresh, it may be yellow. If you live in Blazer, it may be green. If you live in Camp, it may be white. And they're looking for that colored sticker. If you don't have the right color sticker, we're going to stop and ask you questions or ask your student questions, and then get them to the right location, if you will. We also have our own student housing police precinct. Our student housing police precinct practice what we call a community policing model. Basically, what that means is that they're coming around to your students' floor programs and floor meetings to get to know them by name. Because you see a police officer in our buildings doesn't mean something bad happened. We want to make sure students feel safe and secure while they're living on campus. And also to make them feel comfortable so that should they see something bad happening, then they're able to recognize a police officer, talk about what they witnessed, and move on from that situation and incident. Another important note about safety and security, once your student arrives at campus and checks in, they'll fill out an emergency contact card. They'll input their room number, their cell phone numbers, 2 points of contact, usually their parents, just in case something bad happens on campus, we know who to reach out to. So make sure they fill that card out accurately and legibly so that we're able to read and know who to contact in case of an emergency. Another measure of duty safety that we have on campus is our residence assistant on-call system. So between Monday and Thursday, 5 p.m. to 8 a.m., and then Friday at 5 p.m. to Monday at 8 a.m., so 24 to 48 hours of the weekend, there's an RA on call during those times. When you move in on campus, you'll note a number of cell phone numbers posted throughout the door, throughout your residence hall. That's to the RA on call. So anytime there's any emergencies, roommate conflicts, whatever that may look like for your student, there's always an RA on call to contact. Some additional safety measures: make sure your student carries their keys and one card at all times. That's their kind of identification for the university. You can visit uab.edu/OneCard for more information about lost or stolen one cards, but make sure you have those at all times. Do not prop your doors open. That's a fire safety measure, but also just a safety measure in general. We don't want people to prop their doors open and just in case we prevent thefts and things of that nature. Do not go through emergency exit doors. That's in one of our policies procedures here in housing. There are a number of emergency exit doors that are only to be used during emergencies. And so it's important that they're not trying to get out of their building through those doors on any kind of normal day. And lockout procedures. And so students, if they ever get locked out of their spaces, they can come down to the front desk and request an RA let them back into their space. The first time they get locked out is free. After that, there's a $5 charge for each additional lockout after the first time. And so it's important that students recognize that. And we'll go through this stuff at all the floor meetings for our first year students when they arrive to campus. The last but not least, we do have a UAB safety escort service. There's a nightly service. It happens every day between 9 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. Anytime there's a student, they may be across campus on the academic side of campus and they may feel unsafe coming back to their residence halls, they can call the number on the screen, 205-934-8772, to request this service. They will pick them up at their location, drop them off at their residence hall to make sure they're safe and secure around the UAB area. You can get more information about the Blazer Escort Service at www.uab.edu/BlazerExpress/safety escort. And that's where they'll find information about that service here at UAB. As I mentioned before, we have a number of policies and procedures within our residence halls to help make sure that our residence halls are safe and free of harm for our students. Our handbook is located at uab.edu/students/housing/policy/handbook. If you go to our website, uab.edu/housing, you'll be able to find the handbook there. So a couple of points. No person under 21 years of age may have or consume alcoholic beverages in the residence halls. That would include most of our freshman students. No one, while we may have some freshmen that are above 21, majority of our first year students are under the age of 21 years old. We have a zero tolerance for drug and illegal substances. And so there's no we strictly prohibit drugs and any illegal substances in the residence halls at all times. Smoking, including but not limited to cigarettes, cigars, cigarillos, smokeless tobacco, vaping, electronic cigarettes, pipes, bibs, and hookahs is strictly prohibited in all residence hall areas and balconies. So regardless of what hall they live in, smoking is also strictly prohibited in the residence halls. We have visitation is something that comes up every year with our students. We want our students to have a good time and make sure that they have guests coming to visit, whether it's outside of UAB guests or on campus guests. So there are a number of visitation rules and policies as well. Residents are responsible for the actions of their guests at all times. So for example, if they have a friend, a non-UAB student, that comes down from high school and they damage UAB property while they're here. We can't hold that non-UAB student accountable for that damage and charge them with restitution. So we will be talking to your student about what that payment will look like, and that student will go through the conduct process for those damaged items, as an example. Residents are required to meet their guests at the buildings at the front entrance of their buildings. They're required to sign their guests in and out and escort their guests throughout the building. At no time should any resident provide entrance to the building to someone who is not their guest. We have here at UAB, our students are nice. They're friendly. They leave the doors open. So people that walk in the residence hall behind them, they should be mindful of what that looks like as relates to their guests. They should not be signing in their roommates' guests. They should not be signing in their friends' guests. They should be signing in their guests because, again, they are responsible for their guests. And if they sign someone in that's not their guest, if you will, they will be still held responsible for that because they were signing under that your student's name. Each resident is allowed 4 overnight guests in a calendar month, and cohabitation is not permitted. In our handbook, it outlines the overnight guest policy and what that policy looks like. So please go out to that handbook and read that policy, and also make sure your student reads that policy. Overnight guest forms must be completed and approved by all roommates prior to the guest arrival. Overnight guest forms can be found at uab.edu/students/housing/current residents. So again, all this information is on our website. Anytime that a student has an overnight guest, they must fill out that form. That form is then electronically sent to all of their roommates, whether it's 1 person, 3 people, or 4 people. All people must approve to have that guest be overnight in their residence hall. If someone says no for whatever reason, that guest will not be allowed to be in our residence halls overnight. And so this should be a conversation between your students and their suite mates or roommates about overnight guests and what that looks like here at UAB in their space. So I want to briefly talk a little bit about mailing and packages and how those two things are different here within our residence halls. So on the screen, I've listed the mailing addresses for each of the residence halls. Camp Hall at the top, Laser Hall, and then New Freshman Residence Hall. This is your student actual mailing address. Obviously, you insert their name under the hall they live in, so we know whose package is whose. Standard packages, standard size mail will get put into their mailbox, which is located in the residence hall. Anything larger than standard packages goes directly to our package room. Our package room is located in Blazer Hall. On the I guess the right side of your screen, you'll see a sample email. And this is a real email. I received the package from our package room. When the package arrives, it will get logged into our system, and then our system will send an electronic notification out to your student that looks just like this one that tells them they have a package, where to pick it up, the time and date that the package room is opened, and then the date it was received. And so their student will get this electronic email. They will go and pick up their package, and then when they sign for their package, they will get an email stating that you picked up your package. Thank you for your coming to pick it up. If you need any help, things of that nature. And so they'll get an email when the package is input into the system, but they'll also get an automated email after they've signed for that particular package. So again, standard mail and package mails are handled very, very differently, only because packages more often than not cannot fit into the standard size mailboxes here at UAB in the residence halls. And so again, packages come to go to our package room. I want to talk a little bit about roommates and room changes and what that process looks like for our students. We recognize that not all roommates will get along throughout the whole entire semester. While we would like them to, and we will do everything that we can to help mediate conflict, sometimes a good match is not a good match. And so I want to briefly mention Room Change Week. Room Change Week, it happens the second week of every semester here at UAB. In order to participate in Room Change Week, you must attend a mandatory information session in your respective hall. So Fall Room Change Week begins September 5th, and then Spring Room Change Week begins on January 16th. So on September 5th, if your student is and their roommate are having issues or having problems, they're able to attend this room change meeting or information session, fill out the forms, and possibly get a room change. As you all are aware, we are at capacity, and so we don't have those empty spaces to move people around. So at this point, it will be a lot of switches and swaps of different people to try to accommodate everyone. We may not be able to accommodate everyone, but we will do our best to accommodate all people that wish to have a room change. Should any conflict arise, we encourage all students to reach out to the RA staff or their individual RA, as these RAs are trained and they're ready to mediate conflict and to help navigate those difficult conversations between roommates. I recognize that many of our first year students have not had a roommate or may have not shared a room at home with their brother or sister, and this may be a first for some of our students. And we realize that it may be a little difficult in the beginning as you navigate what that relationship looks like with this new person. Our RAs are here to assist in navigating those conversations to make sure that we have a successful roommate pairing and that a successful year here at the university. I'll be remiss if I didn't mention our roommate agreement form. And so between these dates, September 11th through 22nd, our RAs will be coming around to each room and going through our roommate agreement form. It's an 11 by 17 form that asks very random generic questions. What time is quiet time? What should the temperature be on in the space? When can we have guests? When can we watch television? How loud is too loud? Who's responsible for cleaning up the kitchen or taking out the trash? That information may seem remedial, but it's important when you live with someone, right? It's important when you're having these difficult conversations or these roommate conflicts that we are able to then go back and say, well, you agreed to these things. Now, these forms can be amended. The RA will get a copy of the form as well as the room. Now, each individual student, the RA will get a copy of that particular form. And should any conflicts arise, we utilize that form first in order to help mediate some of those conversations. And we realize that things change. This year is the first year that we're going to do the roommate agreement form process a little later. We want to give students a little bit of time to kind of get adjusted and get to know each other before they fill out this agreement form. And so please talk to your student about the roommate agreement form and filling it out accurately and being honest about the things that they don't like. That's important. Compromising is also important, but being honest about, I can't sleep in hot in heat, or I can't sleep in cold, or I don't like the music loud in the mornings, or I'm not a morning person, I'm more of an evening person. Be honest about their kind of living necessities, if you will, and how they like to live. That's important when filling out this form, and not just going through the form and clicking yes to everything because they like the person they're living with, because that can totally shift as we get through the semester. Anytime a student feels uncomfortable, they feel threatened or safe or unsafe in their space, it's important to let our RA staff members know that. Anytime a student talks to us about them feeling threatened and unsafe, we will do our best to remove that student from that particular environment. So that's important. They should always be in communication with their RA staff members throughout the year about any roommate conflicts or anything that may arise that may impede on their social or academic success here at the university. So I want to briefly talk about getting involved on campus. Obviously, most of our students will come to campus, and all of our students will come to campus and get a degree and be great academic citizens of the university. But also getting involved is equally important. It's important for them to get involved outside the classroom, to supplement their classroom learning. And so there are a number of ways to get involved here at UAB. Within our office, we have hall councils, and so that information will go up 2 weeks after students arrive about getting involved in the hall council and possibly running for an executive board position of the hall council in their area. Each residence hall has a hall council, and the hall council is responsible for the large-scale programmatic initiatives that happen inside the residence hall for all residents within that residence hall. Also, there's the Residence Hall Association, RHA. This is a larger organization, kind of the voice of the students. This is an organization that plans a lot of the campus-wide residence hall programmatic initiatives. And so they're involved in student government in high school right now. They may want to get involved in Hall Council RHA. We also have student involvement and leadership. They have over 350 clubs and organizations, as well as fraternities and sororities for our students to get involved in. And so there's tons of things to get involved in, whether it's community service, leadership, activism, things of that nature. We have tons of opportunities for our students to get involved in here at UAB.
All right, so before we go on to the next section, Brian, there's been a few questions that have popped up that I wanted to try to go ahead and give some people some opportunities to answer those questions for. So the first one was, there's a family member who there's a potential that they've got to come back to campus a little early based on some needs to take care of getting like their one card and things, but they're not actually moving in. The question was, since they're not moving in, can they potentially, but they have to come to campus, could they just drop off some materials, stuff for their room in advance of their Saturday move-in date?
Sure, that's a great possibility. And it depends on which hall you're living in that can happen in. Camp Hall is getting some finishing touches on, the Camp Hall is renovated over this past year, and they're finishing up some punch items list, like painting and some extra carpeting, if you will. But send an email, studenthousing@uab.edu with that request, and I will make sure that our person that mans that email responds in a timely manner and gives you an answer. But that shouldn't be a problem. We actually have move-in week here at UAB, and so we have early arrivals starting really early as last weekend. And so next week, we'll have a number of other arrival students moving in, and so that shouldn't be a problem at all. Send that email, studenthousing@uab.edu, and we'll make sure to try to accommodate that request.
Okay, the next question is about if they were assigned one of those really early move-in times on the 26th, a 7 a.m. time, but they are coming from a pretty good distance away. If they plan on arriving after their original move-in time, their assigned move-in time, I should say, do they need to let anyone know specifically that they're going to be a late arrival?
Yes, send an email, studenthousing@uab.edu, and let us know there's going to be a late arrival. And again, that kind of depends on which hall you live in. Because most of our students are honor students in new freshman residence hall, we will be done moving in new freshmen around 9 o'clock that morning. If you're living in Blazer and Camp, we will be moving those students in up until 3 o'clock that afternoon. And so if you're going to live in Blazer and Camp, don't worry about sending an email, arrive when you arrive. And we'll go through that hall. But if you live in New Fresh and you're arriving after, I would say 9 o'clock, then go ahead and send an email to the housing@uab.edu.
But to go back and reiterate your point, though, because there are such a large number of students that are moving into, specifically, especially on Saturdays, to Blazer and Camp, please to try to stay as close to their assigned move-in time as possible.
Exactly, if you can. And I realize you're coming from far away, but we will still be moving people up until 3 o'clock. After 3 o'clock, we don't shut everything down, but our volunteers are let go. And so if you're moving in after 3 p.m. on those days, you won't have the large number of volunteers to help you move and things of that nature. So be mindful of that.
On the Saturday, if you're moving in on Saturday and you want to take advantage of extra hands to help carry all of the materials and supplies that your student absolutely has to have to live in the residence halls, then make sure you're there by that 3 o'clock time frame. Next one that we saw is, would you recommend for students to keep a personal safe for any of their valuable items?
I think that's your personal preference. I've seen some students that have personal safes, and I've seen some that don't. If you feel that you need a personal safe, then I think that's your prerogative to have one, if you will. I would say it doesn't hurt anything. Keep your personal value or your personal valuables locked up in a safe. But I've seen numbers that don't have them as well. And so I think that's really up to you and your student to decide what that looks like for you.
I think the other thing to think about there is going back to Brian's point earlier about the renter's insurance and making sure that you do have coverage there in case there was an issue where where you did lose an item or it was misplaced or, God forbid, stolen, that there is a backup there with that renter's insurance, because there's a possibility that it wouldn't be covered under your homeowner's insurance.
Sure.
Just to cover your bases on all possible size options. Is there a freight elevator to use for large items for move-in day?
Yes. In new freshman residence hall, there is a freight elevator kind of on the opposite side of the building, and so that is operational and able to be used. When you come, let someone know, a volunteer or professional staff member know that you need something to go on a freight elevator. Most of our elevators are large enough that to accommodate most items, but if you have something larger than a standard size elevator, then you may need to use that freight elevator. In Blazer and New Fresh, there aren't any freight elevators, but again, most are not standard size elevators, and so they're able to get most items in those elevators to get to their spaces.
There's a question about repeating the colored stickered information relating to the different halls, just to clarify that a little bit more.
Sure. So when students arrive to campus, they will be given a colored sticker for their UAB1 card. All students living in New Fresh may get yellow, all living in Camp may get green, and all living in Blazer may get brown, if you will. And these are not the accurate colors, just different colors. And so each hall has a different color. And so basically, when they come into the residence hall, they interface with our front desk, which is staffed 24 hours, 7 days a week. They show their one cards to the front desk personnel working the front desk. The front desk is looking to make sure they have the accurate color sticker for that accurate hall. When they present their one card and they have a colored sticker, they're then able to go into their space and go around the residence halls. If they're entering and they don't have a colored sticker, that denotes that they don't live in that particular hall and that someone should be coming down to sign them in. And so you won't be able to get to any other residence hall without having someone sign your student in if they don't live in that space.
And do they get those stickers on move-in day?
On move-in day, yes.
Excellent. So a few questions about move-in itself, and just so I'm going to kind of try to combine multiple questions into one. There is a question about, will there be directions on where to go and park and everything else about on move-in day, or has there been communication already sent out, or will there be? Do both roommates move in at the same time, or do they have separate move-in times? And then I think those are the two big ones for the moment in that world. So are there directions about parking and everything has that already been sent out to?
You should have gotten that information in your move-in email. Students. And so students should have gotten the information in their move-in email, along with a map that outlines the traffic flow for the day. We will have a number of tents along the way, starting on 16th Street on University Boulevard. And so there will be a number of people along each route of move-in telling them where to go. The first stop they'll make on move-in day at our first tent, kind of on the campus green at University Boulevard, that's going to be that's kind of our main tent, and it kind of it sets a tone for the rest of your time to get to your residence hall. They'll ask you your room number. They will grease mark your room number on your window, and that denotes for the rest of the tents where you go. So there'll be a number of people out and ready to assist you at various stops along the way to get to your residence hall. And then there will also be people to tell you where to park as well. And so again, you should get a move-in map with our move-in traffic flow directions. If it has already been sent out, it will be sent out by our office. But again, there'll be a number of stops along the way that will help you get to where you need to be, as well as parking. All parking takes place on 10th Street in the parking deck, and which is not too far from each of our residence halls. And so again, there'll be a number of people and temps and volunteers and professional staff members that will help navigate you to the right location.
I will say, as a former volunteer and volunteering again this year, that this is a very well-run process, and so that you will get into a queue of cars and they will direct you on, and that part is wonderful. The email that Brian is referring to would have gone specifically to your student, and it also would have specifically gone to your student's UAB email address, so not whatever they applied to the university for or anything along those lines. So that's critical to know. Make sure that your student, if they have not already started to do so, that they need to be checking that UAB email, because that is how the university is going to be communicating with them.
And you asked a question about roommates coming at the same time. Yes, again, we move in by assigned move-in times by floor. So everyone on the second floor of new freshmen, this is arbitrary, will be moving in at 8 o'clock. And so if their roommate is also on time and they're not lost in the shuffle, they should be arriving the same time frame. We move a different floor we move in by hours. So at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock is a different floor, and 9 is a different floor. So they all should be arriving at the same time, within the same time frame.
What about when the residence halls close? Do they close ever for holidays or special vacations such as Thanksgiving?
No, we don't close here at UAB. We don't close. Only time that we really close is for the summer, and we move all the students to one particular area. So on those different holidays, Thanksgiving or winter break, which is after finals, before the start of the spring academic year, our residents don't take much of the items home. We're not requiring them to move out. They take their belongings and go home with their families, and then come back for the spring semester. They take what they need. So again, we don't close here at UAB. Most of our students do leave campus during those time frames, but again, we don't close, with the exception of summer, and they're going to be in summer housing or summer student. We then move them to one building for the summer, because we have camps and conferences that will be utilizing our other spaces. Or we will be doing some renovations or some preventative maintenance things in some of our other buildings, getting them ready for the next academic year.
Okay, this one's a quick one, I think. Are they allowed to use the wall decals for the walls in the new freshman residence hall?
Yes.
That's an easy, quick one. Next, moving on to, there's a couple questions about parking, and so hopefully Brian and I can troubleshoot these together since we're not from parking. The specific questions are: student has signed up for parking recently. Is the parking pass mailed to their home or to the student? Should they pick it up once they get on campus? I want to say I just went in and actually looked at the system, and they should have actually indicated that they live on campus. Because one, that ensures that they get the right parking pass,
right,
and then it also then gets delivered that way.
Yes.
To their residence.
To their residence. It will get delivered. If it's not delivered to their home, then it will be delivered. They need to pick it up when they come, because it's not delivered to our office,
right,
at all. So if it's not delivered home, then they'll need to go by a transportation office and pick up that parking decal once they arrive to campus.
And a great website to look at for that is, if your student hasn't already applied for their parking decal, or you've got some questions, the website for that is uab.edu/parking. And so that walks the students through. They do have to log in using their Blazor ID in order to share information about to get signed up for their parking decal. So some people, it looks like, have received their parking decals already, so they are starting to be sent out. It just depends on when you've registered for it. At this point in time, and say that it's going to be, if you are still registering for it now, then I would say that you're going to be picking it up on campus. Mm-hmm. I don't know, there's a question about a waiting list for parking. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that. If you email me at families@uab.edu, then I can happily try to find that information out for you and email you back and provide that information. Unfortunately, since we don't have a representative from parking and it is a very different office run on campus, that we have enough information to be dangerous, and I don't want to share incorrect information, but I can find the correct information for you. Will there be any volunteers to help with an early move-in date?
Some of our early move-in groups in the offices on campus will have their own volunteers. I'll be honest, there won't nearly be as many as we have on Saturday. And so you should be prepared to help move your students' things into their spaces. Some of them will have a limited number of volunteers, but you should be prepared to park in our locations next to your buildings and kind of help move your students into the residence hall.
And then there was one on here about the renter's insurance. So the clarification on the renter's insurance is your potential homeowner's policy that you have for your family's home and belongings may not cover your students' items and property when they're here on campus, or even in future years when they're living in an apartment complex, but still as a student. In past years, in years long gone, homeowners policies did a lot of times cover that information, that's your student's personal property. And so there is an opportunity for you to purchase renter's insurance. You can talk to your regular insurance provider, or UAB has a relationship with an organization. That was the information that was actually just sent out from student housing to your student in their move-in packet about it. I'm also going to be sending out, all of our family members will be receiving a newsletter later on today, and there's some information about that renter's policy in that as well. But we have a partnership with a company that does specifically work with college students and creating a college student renter's insurance policy, which has a lower limit to it regarding the amount. So most renters insurance, when you're off on your own, usually obviously your coverage amounts, $20,000, $50,000 or more, whereas your college student, maybe you're looking to just have $5,000. And so they work very specifically with that. And then they have some unique opportunities within that related to if they drop their phone and crack the screen, which Blessed knows that students are doing that all the time, including and as well as I am. It helps to cover the cost on the replacement screens, or cracked a laptop screen and things along those lines. So it's got some unique things in there specific to students that are different than a traditional renter's insurance policy. And that information will again be going out to all of our new family members in the newsletter that's going out later on this afternoon. So in an effort for time, I'm also going to go home and go ahead. Unfortunately, Rock has had something that occurred that's preventing him from being able to join us, but I'm going to quickly run through some of the dining information to help just answer and share quick information there. And then if there are any last minute questions still related to housing, then we'll get those answered as well. So just some quick things to cover regarding your students' meal plan options. So there's essentially 3 different things that are going to be tied to your students' dining, your student's card, or ways that they can eat on campus. Think of essentially as 3 different pockets. One is dining dollars. There's then the meal plan plus meals and meal plan dining dollars, and then Blazer Bucks. And I'm going to try to quickly walk you through the differences between each of these, because I know it can get a little crazy sometimes in trying to understand. A lot of this information, if you've previously attended orientation, I know you've received, but there's still sometimes some additional questions. So the first things first is dining dollars. Every student who is enrolled to take classes at UAB, regardless if they're taking 12 credit hours or more, regardless if they live on campus or commuting, or a first-year student or a 6-year senior, will be assessed a $225 campus dining fee that will automatically be placed on their academic bill. But this is money that your student can use to purchase food at any of our dining locations that we have on campus. So this can be used to get a drink from Starbucks, a bagel from Einstein's, or an all-you-can-eat meal in Commons on the Green. And this is automatically assessed, and it works as a declining balance opportunity for our students. The next option then, or the next piece, is our meal plans and meal plan dining dollars. So the meal swipes, is the part that can get very confusing. And so all of our students who live on campus are, as a first year student, are required to have a meal plan. The meal swipes, which we'll get into the variations, which can be anything between 7 meals a week, unlimited. Those meal swipes are predominantly, basically used at Commons on the Green, which is our all-you-care-to-eat dining facility. Students, and they have a variety of different stations, from salad bars to pizza line to sandwiches, a grill, which is making a new type of meal for every meal, so it's something for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it's an all-you-can-eat dining facility. And all your student goes in and does is give their student ID card. They swipe it. They now have access to eat in the Commons on the Green. The meal plan dining dollars are a combination with the meal plans, and it's similar to the dining dollars that we were just talking about previously with the $225. Those can be used at any of our dining facilities on campus. They're not limited to one specific place, but they are then at that point a declining balance. So, and the specific thing to know here is that related to the meal plan dining dollars, that money does not roll over from semester to semester. So if your student has any type of money that's left over, which is infrequent, then it does not roll over to the next semester. Our systems are smart enough, though, thank goodness they're much smarter than I am, in that they know when if a student's using a dining dollars, that they're going to use the meal plan dining dollars first. And then once the student has exhausted their meal plan dining dollars, it goes back to the $225 dining dollars and uses that, because the $225 dining dollars does transition from semester to semester, but not from summer to fall. So but the system is smart enough to use the money, use it or lose it first, and then go to the next pool of money. So here are the various options related to our dining plans on campus. For our students who are living on campus, which, since you're participating in an on-campus living presentation, I'm going to assume is all of your students, that all of these are students required to choose from one of the top 3 or the Blazer meal plans. The cost for all of them is the same. The difference is the number of meals versus dining dollars that they would get. So for example, if you were to choose the Blazer one, our students have unlimited meals to go to Commons on the Green. That's the all-you-can-eat dining facility. They would go in and they're using their meal swipes. They then have an additional $25 to go out and use at any of our dining locations on campus throughout the semester. So they can go to Starbucks, or they can go to Panera, or wherever else they want, and use it as a declining balance. The flip side, the other option of that, is the 7 meals per week. That's the last of the options. And what that means is that they have 7 meals that they can go to, 7 meal swipes that they can go to in the Commons on the Green for the all-you-can-eat. But then after that, they also have an additional $450 rather, that they can use at any of our dining locations. That again, money has to be spread out throughout the semester. And this is all money this is still not including the additional $225 meal dining dollars. So if your student chose the 7 meal per week plan, Blazer 3, they would have 7 meals per week, 7 meal swipes per week for the Commons on the Green. They'd have the $450 meal plan dining dollars plus the $225, meaning at the start of the semester, your student will have, let's see how quick my math can be, $675 worth of dining dollars to be used at any of our dining locations across campus. Now, if your student is on the 7 meals per week plan and they used up all 7 meals, but they still want to go to Commons on the Green for a meal to actually have a lunch, they still can. It's just going to be charged to them at an entry fee price of, and I don't remember the exact number, of say $7 for a dinner. Then it's just going to deduct from the dining dollars option. So they can always still go to the Commons on the Green for food, even if they've exhausted their meal swipes for the week. And then Blazer Bucks are money that you can choose to add to your student's account. This is completely separate from the dining dollars or the Blazer or the meal swipes. This is specifically money that can be used, and it's tied to your student's card, so that way it is not an additional credit card or anything along those lines, but then it can be used to print out papers for class. It can be used to do laundry in the residence halls, the bookstore if they're purchasing their books, and any of our vending machines. And then they've also got a great relationship with a lot of different offices and facilities across the area surrounding UAB that are both food and retail locations.
I want to jump in really quick about laundry and Blazer Bucks. So here at UAB, our laundry is free for our students. We give our students essentially $6 a week for laundry. That dollar amount will then reset on Sunday night. So for example, if they spend $4 throughout the week for laundry, it's $1 to wash and $1 to dry, and they spend $4 throughout the week, then we will set that amount to $6, adding $4 additional to their account on Sunday night. That will happen automatically. It's not real money. They can't spend it at different eateries across campus. It's strictly like laundry credits. Now, where Blazer Bucks and laundry kind of interfaces with each other. When your student, for example, your student washes 3 loads of clothes on Monday, and they use all $6. Again, $1 to wash and $1 to dry. But they have to then wash clothes again on Friday, then they will need to use their laundry bucks to pay for that laundry that laundry wash and dry. So that's how laundry and Blazer Bucks interface with each other. So essentially laundry is free on a governed system, but if they run out of that money before the money is reset, then they have to use laundry bucks if they want to wash their clothes or dry their laundry, things of that nature.
So, and I'm very excited because Rock, who is the expert in all source of knowledge relating to all of our meal plan options and everything, just was actually able to join us. So I'm going to let him pick up from here and then also go back to answer questions as we have them.
Absolutely. So we talk a little bit about the Blazer Bucks locations and places they can be used at. We partner with a lot of different merchants within the community itself, because sometimes you need things other than just food services. So we have places that we partner with, like Piggly Wiggly, Western Supermarket. So if they need to go to a grocery store and be able to use some Blazer Bucks at those locations to get things that are outside of what comes with their dining plans or things of that nature. If your kid gets sick and they need to get a prescription filled, you don't have to try and find a place off campus for them to go to. There's CVS right across the street from our dormitories, not residence hall, forgive me, let me say that properly, that they're able to go to as well. And just a couple other different places that are off campus, but it gives them a variety of places to be able to use Blazer Bucks at, that gives them that flexibility that they desire, should they want to go hang out with friends, should they need to be able to get other things that they'll need to take care of their needs while they're living here on campus, and all of those different comforts that we try and reach out to. We even have means of entertainment, like with the Phoenix Theater. So if they want to go to a movie theater, we got a place like that outside there. You have those Breezy Spoon options, such as Dreamland and Al's Grill and Deli. Just a little something to try and make it a little bit more fun for the students that are here. So that's something that we do with our Blazer Bucks location, and we're always constantly adding, and students bring us more suggestions of places that they think should be a part of it. We have that available for them as well. Participation in the Blazer Bucks program, I will let you know, it is completely voluntary. They do not have to have Blazer Bucks, but you'll see after they've been here for a little while, they will suggest from you to be able to get some Blazer Bucks added to their carts. They don't need a significant amount of Blazer Bucks added, but they just, decide they want to get a few on there, they can have that. Deposits can be made from any time. You can do it from home. Go to uab.edu/Blazer Bucks. The funds are on there the entire time they're here. It's better than a credit card because they don't have to worry about racking up fees and not knowing exactly how working a credit card works. They don't have to worry about carrying cash, but once cash is lost, cash is gone. But if they lose their one card, then they can turn around and freeze the one card, go get a new one card, and when they get the new one card, they can unfreeze it, and all the funds are readily available for them. In order to manage the card online, they can go and look on the One Card website, and that'll allow them to be able to check on their meal plan. They can select their meal plan if they have not already done so. From the meal plan site as well, they can also check their current balance to see where they're spending their funds and what kind of balances they may have. Also, they can look at the transaction history to kind of say, okay, well, did I go here did I eat from here, or what have you, so they can kind of keep an eye on what they're eating if they're like journaling and tracking where they're eating their money from, eating their food from. Also, they need to make deposits into their Blazer Bucks account. They can do that as well. You may have heard me mention earlier about if they lost their card, where they can go and freeze it so that no one else can pick up the card and try and use it. This is where they will go to be able to do that as well, and they will log in here with their Blazer ID and password in order to do that. Another great thing about having having Blazer Bucks is that if any of the guests that want to help with their college experience, that wants to add funds onto their cards for them, whether it be brother, sister, aunt, uncle, grandparents that want to be able to add funds to their cards, they can go here too and add funds onto their cards as a guest on this particular site. All they need is the student's Blazer ID. They need their last name and the date of birth. That will help them identify who the student is, and then they can submit some money onto their account for them as a gift. A lot of people enjoy this gift because it allows them to be able to just kind of go in and add $20, $30 on there, $25. I am the father of a recent UAB graduate, and this was a great feature for my daughter whenever she wanted to try and get a few extra dollars to do some things, to hang out with her friends or things of that nature. Grandmama, my mother and my wife's mother would go on here, and they would log in, and they would add a few dollars on there onto her account, so she would have some extra funds to be able to do some things with her friends when they decide to go out and eat off campus rather than hanging out on one of the campus restaurants here as well. So there's always opportunities for them to be able to contribute to their collegiate experience. So it's a great option to have, but again, it is an option. You don't have to have it, but it's just a great option to give some flexibility for the things that the students like to do around campus. Some of the important things that we want to go ahead and cover, which is very important. We'll start with the first one. If they're already pre-registered, they can go ahead and start selecting their meal plans. They go to uab.edu/meal plans, and they can select the plan. If they're living on campus, they will be required to have a meal plan. They can go here and select a meal plan. If they're not satisfied with the meal plan that they have selected, freshmen, of course, will select of the first 3 meal plans. They're all of equal value, but they have different things that they offer. So you want to look at the plans to see which plan works out better for your student. They can request changes to their meal plan up until September 5th, which is the same day of add drop and the add drop deadline, which will be the Monday after school starts. So they'll submit those requests, and if they need to change their plan, submit those requests, and we'll get that changed for them as fast as they come in. Note that there are a lot of students coming in. They may decide here and there, so we could get inundated with requests, but we will get everybody taken care of if they want to switch their plans within that first week. Once it is set, we are good for that semester. Only on a case-by-case basis if there's some kind of medical emergency or something along those lines that they may have missed that deadline. And we will look at these from a case-by-case basis, but we make sure that we set that hard deadline of September 5th. If a student has not selected a meal plan, we will make sure that the minimum meal plan has already been assigned to that student, which means that if they haven't figured out which one they want yet, then they'll go on there and they'll see that the minimum plan, which is, again, if they're freshmen, that will be Blazer 3, will already be selected for them, but they can change that to a Blazer 1 or a Blazer 2, or they may be happy with Blazer 3, but that plan will already be selected for them. So that way we guarantee they already have something to eat. When can they start? Okay, when can they start using their meal plans? They can start using their meal plans actually starting this Saturday for our early move-in students. August 19th, all of the dining dollars will be available for them to be able to utilize. So some of the restaurants that will be open, maybe not the Commons just yet. We're doing some renovations on the Commons. It's set to be open on the 23rd, but on the 19th, for our early move-in students, they will be able to start using their dining dollars, and they will be available to them to be able to go to the different restaurants we have on campus that will be open to them. Meal plans will begin on August 23rd. That is actually before the actual freshman move-in date. But again, for new students that are coming in early, some that will do honors, band, and a couple of other sorority rush and things of that nature that are coming in early, the meal plans will be available for them to be able to use on August 23rd. And that's when we'll have the reveal of the renovation that we've done in the dining commons, which is a fantastic place to be able to check out. Hopefully you got a chance to maybe look at some of the items that they're offered over the summer break, but they'll be available to be able to start using those then. The last day to use their meal plan is December 15th, which is the last day of the semester. It's the day before graduation, and so they need to have all meal plans used up, or any dining dollars that they have associated with their meal plan should be used at that point, or those funds will be forfeited.
Before we get into some of these, because these are some just great important dates to know, and we'll leave these up, but I know we're getting close to the end of our time, but I know there's a few questions for Rock related
Sure.
to meal plans that I want to get him to be able to answer. Can you quickly describe and I apologize that I've potentially confused someone about the difference between what rolls over from semester to semester versus what does not?
Absolutely, absolutely. With their meal plans, you see the 6 different options that are available there. Which again, the first 3 are required of the freshmen for them to be able to choose between. Between those 3, and let's go back. Yeah,
There we
right
go.
here. Blazer 1, 2, and 3. You see the different options for as far as meal swipes. Blazer 1 is unlimited with $25 in meal plan dollars. Those meal plan dollars work the same as dining dollars, but we'll just stick right here with the meal plans at first. They have $25 in meal plan dining dollars on the first one, which allows them to be able to go to like to the C-store, which is a convenience store we have, and a few of the other restaurants on campus. But they only have $25 in that because the majority of their funds are slated to be used in the dining commons. On the Blazer 2 meal plan, gotcha. Got 150 per semester and $350 dining dollars there. Blazer 3, 7 meals per week, $450 dining dollars. Now, with that, when the end of the semester hit, if any funds that they have not used in that regard, those will go away. Those will be forfeited. But the $225, which is the dining fee, the campus dining fee, they will have that, and any funds that are not used at that point will roll over to the next semester, and they'll still be active up until the last day of the summer semester. So they got a little bit more time. It's just giving them a little bit more flexibility to go between the different restaurants, and they don't have to use everything in the dining commons.
So again, the 225 will roll over semester to semester, but not from the end of the spring semester to the fall. Anything that's associated with the dining plans will not roll over from semester to semester.
Absolutely.
And they can make changes to their meal plan for the first week of classes.
The first week until September 5th.
And then again at the semester change, correct, Rock?
Yes.
So if they decide the new options there, that is there as well for them. Anytime that a student goes to eat at the Commons on the Green, it is always a all-you-can-eat facility, correct?
Yes, it's an all-you-can-eat facility with different various stations that offer anything from vegetarian options to allergen-free options to just different meals of the day.
Great. And then the other question is that I think we tried to answer changing of the meal plans. There's a question about viewing their student's Blazer account. All that they see right now for meal plans is having a zero balance. However, their financial aid already shows that they've been charged for their meal plans. Mm-hmm. When will those funds be available for her to use as she moves in early? So.
Yes, they'll become active. Again, the dining dollars portion will be available starting this Saturday, and then the meal plan itself, the plans for to be able to use in the commons will begin on August 23rd.
So those are great, helpful pieces there. Relating to Blazer Bucks, are these pieces, is that money that they will be able to redeem if there's any remaining Blazer Bucks? Can they basically get that money back? Can they get it back in cash or redeem it in some other way?
The Blazer Bucks, they don't expire. Unlike some of the dining dollars and the meal plan, the Blazer Bucks are here the entire time that they're here as a student. So upon graduation, if they happen to have Blazer Bucks still left over, then they can request a refund for those Blazer Bucks. But they're here available to them the entire time they are here. And trust me, they will need those Blazer Bucks because they will be printing things in the library, as Brian mentioned a little bit earlier. If they have issues with wanting to wash a few more, wash laundry a little bit more, they'll have that available to them. Plus Blazer Bucks can be used at any of the locations on and off campus with those vendors that we highlighted in the slide that we had a little bit earlier.
Wonderful. Well, I know we are a little bit past our time at this point, and I want to thank everyone for staying around and listening to hearing everything that we had to share. If there are still additional questions, please feel free to email families with IES at uab.edu And I am happy to answer the questions for you, or at the very minimum, get them to the correct individuals on campus so that we can get those questions answered. We want to make sure your move-in experience is a quick and easy one for everybody and as smooth as possible. We know it's a new experience for everybody. So we're here to help in any way that we can. So please feel free to email us or contact us. If you feel the need to go back and rewatch this webinar, we will be posting it online here within the next few days. It's going to take us a couple of days to get everything loaded and placed on the website, but it will be placed on our UAB Families website, which again is uab.edu/families. And with that, I really hope that you have a wonderful rest of the week, and we will see you in just a few days. So thank you so much and have a great time, and we'll see you starting on the 20th. Have a wonderful one.
Thank you.
Thank you.